welcome everyone to this weekend's Midnight Overwatch special. We're doing a health report with Bob Gilpatrick from Boomers Forever Young, like we have been doing. This report is going out on the weekend of September 20th, 2025. And we're going to continue the series that we're doing. And today, as you can tell from the title, The Age of Immortality. There's more reality to that than you realize. There's a lot going on in that field, but I can't tell you, but the expert at it can, and that is Bob Gilpatrick of Boomers Forever Young. Bob, how are you doing? How are things going down in Florida, your business there? Before we get into our topic, which is the Age of Immortality, do you have any announcements or anything you'd like to share with us about, I don't know, news or anything going on with your business before we get started?
Yeah, so this is, the weekend of the 20th of September. And as we are talking, Phoenix, Ron and Larry are arranging for a pickup of a 2-pallet load of our Myotrol product. It's finished being made in California. It's going to be on the way. And there's a chance that it won't arrive before we actually run out. We might be out for a day or two. And so people are listening and they see on the website, Myotrol is out of stock. Just know it's been made, it's been produced, and it's on the pallets, and we're waiting for a truck to grab it. And it's interesting because you had all the issues with tariffs, and it's delayed it a couple of months. And this is an order we placed in March, which is just now at the end of September, getting ready to arrive at our place. But that's kind of the business side of it. And also, we launched a new sale today. And if people go to our website, what they'll find is that there is what we call the build your own bundle sale. And so we put 8 different products of ours in this bundle sale. And what it is you can make a bundle of 2 products, 3 products, 4 products, 8 products, and get a 10% discount off the bundle. And then also, for the first time, we're going to be able to let you put things like that on auto ship. So you can have a bundle on auto ship. And of course, you get an extra 10% for that. And for people that do this build a bundle, we're going to give the 10% discount. And if you're on the auto ship for 2 months, so it's going to be a total of 20% for each month. So if you go make your way to our website, right on the front page, it has a thing about make your own bundle. And you can go ahead and take advantage of that. And we also have a couple of other combo packs. One we call the Pro Enzyme Pack, which has our enzymes and probiotics in it, which is really good for your digestive system. And one called the Calm Down Combo, which has ashwagandha and turmeric, both of which are really good at helping people smooth out their affect. And those are both on sale at really great price as well. And other than that, we are still working on, getting a couple of other new products that are in the process of being manufactured right now. New inventions that will be coming along that we'll be able to talk about in a couple of weeks or a month. We'll be able to let people know what those are, some revolutionary new things that will help contribute to the Age of Immortality.
Very cool. Okay, well, I tell you what, that's good stuff, and the whole thing with the tariffs and things like that, it can cause quite a bit of disruption. I mean, people don't realize, and we could see some more of that throughout society on all levels. Anyway, so that's a very good news. The bundle thing, that's cool. That's a good tool that people can use. And you know what? While we're talking about that, before we even get into the Age of Immortality,
yeah, they can get our best-selling products.
What'd you
Pardon
say?
me?
What would you
No,
say?
I'm saying, I was going to say with the bundle, there's a lot of our best products are in that opportunity. So you can get our barley product from there, our collagen, our sleep aid product, vitamin C, vitamin D, omega-3, stuff that a lot of people get and use regularly. Now is a good time to
Very good.
put them together. As they say down here in Florida, put together in a pile and check out.
Very cool. Um, let's see. Before we get into it, since you're talking about that, go ahead and give people your contact info on this side of the interview we're
Yeah,
doing here, since we're actually talking about that, so people know how to contact you.
yeah, absolutely. So we have an 800 number that we answer Monday to Friday from 9 to 5 Eastern time. You'll get Lucy or Stephanie on the phone, maybe Jim, and it's 800-861-4609. And we're on Central Avenue in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you're here in town for any reason, on vacation, or you live nearby and you want to come visit, give us a call and I'll make sure I'm here to say hello. Had lots of people, Phoenix, that listen to your shows that have come to visit us. It's been really great. And of course, you can still go to patriotintelreport.com. And on the top left of that site, you'll see this picture. It looks like a lady in a blue lightning storm. So if you click that lady, it'll bring you over to our site.
Very good. Okay, yeah, and that number will be in the description box below, everyone. Let's see. And I will put the link down there too, but that link does not work because YouTube doesn't allow it. So what I'll do is I'll space it out, just kind of like make it work, but I'll put it down there, even though it won't be an active link. Let's get right into the topic, Bob. The Age of Immortality. That's pretty outrageous title there. You want to get into that?
Yeah, so it might sound a little outrageous, but I would contend it's not as outrageous, as you might think. Already there are lots of white papers, books written on what it's going to be like when we have the what they're calling the immortal condition. And it's interesting because there are a lot of people that are like, well, this is going to be really bad when people are no longer aging. There's going to be all kinds of problems. And so while at the same time, you have $1 trillion research industry trying to find out how to help people become immortal, you also have a bunch of social scientists saying, well, wait a minute here. The planet's going to be a lot different if everybody's immortal. And here's a list of the possible problems. And but I can tell you this already, Phoenix here in St. Petersburg, there was an old funeral home that is has now been converted into a restaurant, and people are dying to get in there. It takes a while to get a reservation.
Very good, Bob. I caught that.
And so I was just thinking the other day, hey, this might become a big trend where they're going to be closing all the funeral homes and converting them into housing or restaurants. And there's another one right across the street where they closed the funeral home and are building. Or it's now part of a condo complex that they just built. So I think that's a good sign when you need less funeral homes. It means people are living longer and they're a lot more healthy as time goes by. So that's one way to keep track of of the age of immortality. When there's no more funeral homes in your town, then you'll know that we got there.
Hmm.
And but here's the thing, right now there's many billions of dollars being invested in the research around aging and immortality. And I was watching a YouTube video the other day where they were interviewing a multi-billionaire who was investing some of his money in this. and they just casually were asking him questions, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, well this research institute is studying this particular thing about aging." So I gave them $100 million, and purchased a equity stake in their company. And then, oh, this guy over here is doing this, and I gave them 100 million. And it's a very uh, established now area of research, how to help people live much longer, but even more importantly, how to expand your health span, because the average person uh, spends about the last 9.5 years of their life in a state of disease where their quality of life is not as good as it could be. And this, all of this research is going to help not only expand lifespan, but also the health span, so that, say they don't quite reach immortality, but you live to be 200 years old, in theory, you could live to be 199 and 9 months before you ever get sick. And maybe the last 3 months of your life, you might be somewhat diminished, but for all practical purposes, you'll be perfectly healthy at age 199. And so we'll talk later about what some of the implications might be, in regard to this, what would be the psychological implications for individuals in regard to, finding meaning in their life without end. And you know what would happen to different social structures, and how would people be defining their roles in the future, that kind of thing. But I started, Phoenix, teaching about aging way back in 1987. So what's 13 and 25? 38 years ago. I was a professor of gerontology at Pace University in New York, and I taught about the psychology of aging, the biology of aging, the sociology of aging. And I was teaching college students at that time. And back then, there was a long, long list of technologies that we did not have that we now have today, that can do all kinds of things for us. So, just for example, this morning, um, as some people do, they go and work out in the morning. Okay? And, uh, and there's a new technology now that you can go to a gym, and they put you in they wrap a vest around your chest and hook you up to a power supply, and you lift weights, but you can only lift maybe 2 or 3 pounds at a time, because they have a closed circuit of electricity going through your body. And the exercise professional who's there to guide you is tuning you with these knobs while you're going through the exercises. And 20 minutes of exercise is the equivalent of about 3 hours of working out at the gym lifting weights. So you go once a week for 20 minutes and burns 1,500 calories. You get a lot stronger. And we know that loss of muscle as people age is one of the main reasons why we die from old age. And nowadays, we have technologies like that. And we also uh, have nutraceutical technologies, such as the products that we have, Myotrol and Gladiator Barley, that give people an extreme advantage for maintaining and building muscle. And so, in regard to the Age of Immortality, this is an example. If you ask the leading researchers in the world that are receiving hundreds of millions of dollars of grants, they will tell you that that the most important thing is about aging is related to muscle loss. So as humans age, they tend to lose muscle weight. And when you get to a point where you've lost almost all your muscle, you can no longer sustain life, and you die of old age, but you essentially died from muscle wasting.
Hmm.
And that happens with people that get cancer as well. They 60% of the time when someone dies that has cancer, it's because they died from muscle wasting.
Yeah, I've heard
And
that.
now, yeah, but now Phoenix, that doesn't have to happen anymore. People can we have the old and the new, right? So we have the seed line for the barley that from the time of the gladiators that made them so strong. We have that regenerated, and people are able to use it. And we also have a brand new invention from Solva Labs, which triggers your genes to produce the protein and the signals and the information for building muscle
And that's the Myotrol,
that
correct?
you had lots of when you were 20, but as you got old, yeah, and that's called mitral. And so already the main problem with aging that is being identified by Dr. Sinclair and others has already been solved. That is already a non-issue in the age of immortality. And we've seen people, Phoenix, literally women in their mid 80s that were homebound, being cared for by a nurse's aide, and never left the house except to go to the doctor. When they use these products, they become revivitized and they actually get back up and start walking around again. One lady went back to work on her farm. And if you were to see her when she was 85, 6 months ago, and see her now uh, out on her tractor and working on her farm again, you would believe that we're in the age of immortality.
Mm.
And I don't expect that that lady is going to be going back to her state of frailty again. I think she's going to stay healthy for many more decades.
Very cool.
And so that's an example of what's already happening. Solva Labs was the first laboratory that came out with an epigenetic reprogrammer, which is today considered the holy grail of anti-aging. That particular technology, the systems of which that produced it have been patented already. And um, the other one, Phoenix, really huge area that when I was a professor in 1987, we talked about this, and it's still equally important today, and that's the whole issue of inflammation. So people are aerobic life, and we're burning ourselves up as we go, and we slowly over time destroy our own tissues with oxidation, just like a piece of metal that rusts if you leave it outside. And humans are the same way. And we now know from various tests, there's blood work you can get that gives you an overall measure of your inflammation. There's also a blood test that you can get that will measure the inflammation of your circulatory system, your endothelium. And so, for example, people will go to the doctor and they'll be told, oh, you have high cholesterol and you need to take this drug to lower your cholesterol. And otherwise, you're going to have a problem. But what they don't know is if that cholesterol that they're measuring is actually good cholesterol or bad cholesterol. They don't do a differentiating subfraction. And so they just give these medications. And part of the reason is the insurance companies don't care about the subfractions. They look at one number, the total number. And if your cholesterol is over 200, regardless of 100 of the good cholesterol, they expect the doctor to get that cholesterol under 200. And there are other things too, blood pressure as well, okay, where the insurance company reviews all of the doctor's medical records. And if they are not the type of practice that keeps their patients' cholesterol below 200 and the blood pressure down, they actually are fined for that. They have to pay the insurance company back from reimbursement if their patient, for every patient that they do not get their cholesterol under 200. And so this is, a really, this is a really bad thing, because we have a test, we have a blood test that you can get that will tell you whether or not that your cholesterol is actually causing inflammation to your endothelium. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. But if it is, that inflammation is what leads to the buildup of plaque. Okay. But you can have a lot of good cholesterol that shows up on the test that's actually helping you tremendously. And but the insurance company will still make the doctor reduce it, even though you're reducing something good. So the good news is that we have products now that can reduce your inflammation. And there's even products that if you do have plaque buildup in your arteries, you can dissolve it with an enzyme called nattokinase. And if you ask David Sinclair what if he could only take one nutrition product in his life, what would it be? He'll tell you it's that enzyme that breaks up plaque in your arteries. And so you can take that right now. There's a great company called Natovina. You can get products from them, take them like I do every day, and you'll never have plaque buildup in your arteries, which is the leading cause of death, right? The inflammation leads to that, which leads to heart attacks, which leads to death. And so if you're looking to participate in this immortality, you need to know what your inflammation level is, and you need to know if you are damaging your endothelium. And if you are, you need to ingest compounds like superoxide dismutase and glutathione that will make sure that your inflammation stays low. And these two things, Phoenix, the issue with muscle and also with inflammation, can go a very, very long way towards preventing yourself from getting any adult onset diseases that might lead to your early death. So here's a couple other things, Phoenix. So nowadays, unlike 1987, when I was first teaching about aging, we we now know about certain things like telomeres. And telomeres are the type of discovery that was made a number of years ago that are these little caps at the end of your chromosomes, and they contain information. And as we age, our cells divide and they double. And as they do, you use up little bits of that telomere to help with the division. And it tends to just keep going away and going away and going away. And towards the end, when there's not much left, the next time your cells divide and double, you end up with all kinds of errors. And that's why you find a person who might be super healthy till they're 90 years old. And then all of a sudden, when they're 90 and 1 month, one thing after another starts happening to them. And within 6 months, they've died. And people are astonished. They're like, wow, he was so healthy. And then all of a sudden, all these things went wrong all at once. Well, that's because his cells started doubling with errors, and his telomeres weren't long enough to support the accurate doubling anymore. And he literally died of old age from the theory of aging that's related to telomeres. And nowadays, we know how and why telomeres shorten at the rate that they do. And we know certain types of people whose telomeres shorten much, much faster than others. And we know what to do about it. to the point where you can actually get a blood test on the length of your telomeres, and you can make a very good estimate as to when you're going to die from that test. And but we now know what we can do to actually rebuild those telomeres so that they have a permanent veracity, in order for us to not die from that cause of aging. And one of the products that we have that we call Boomer Boost was designed in part, is designed to fulfill many different things. But one of the things it was designed to do was to be continuously restoring your telomeres.
Mm. Well, that's amazing. That can actually happen. You have the products to do that, and it's available right now. People have been using it for years. You have this. That's an amazing thing, Bob.
Yeah. And when you look at, those causes, it's we actually have all those things taken care of now, and can completely eliminate the issue of aging from muscle loss, oxidation, shortening of telomeres. And one of the other things that's real important to know, Phoenix, is that people that are under a lot of stress tend to have their telomeres shorten much faster than people who are not. And the group of people that tend to age the fastest, from the shortening of their telomeres, are women who have handicapped children. And there's a great deal of stress involved in raising a child who's handicapped from many different angles. Just the fact that a child is born handicapped can be very stressful. It can have a long lasting traumatic effect on parents, particularly women. But then the daily care back and forth to the hospital um, is quite often under the threat that the child might die soon. These people that are doing this, their telomeres shorten faster than anybody else's. And the lesson in it is that stress kills. And how much time do we as an individual person spend managing our stress? Do we actually have a plan for that? Do we understand it? Do we are we able to feel the triggers that are causing us stress? Do we have pattern interrupts as our body tries to shift into the sympathetic nervous system under stress? Do we have a way to bring ourselves back into the parasympathetic? And here again, being that that is such an important aspect of aging, is controlling your stress. You now have all kinds of new devices that have been invented to help with that. The most popular one is the company called HeartMath, and they invented a technology called Inner Balance. And it's very, very sophisticated technology that's very simple to use. There's a clip that you put onto your ear, and there is a wire that comes down to a transponder that communicates to your cell phone. And there's an app that literally lets you eavesdrop on what's happening in your brain and in your heart, because your heart beat is directly related to what's going on in your brain, and vice versa. Your heart has neurons in it. They're very similar to the ones in your brain, and they're communicating neuronally and quantumly to your brain, signaling it. And then your brain is also signaling your heart. And this device was invented to help you to reduce stress by getting feedback on your cell phone. So you're looking at your cell phone, and there's a pictograph there that's morphing, and it's telling you in real time what's happening in your heart muscle and what's happening in your brain. And by focusing on your breath and focusing on things you're grateful for, you can get yourself out of sympathetic stress and into the parasympathetic, which is more calm, and it's indicative of restoration and relaxation. And that one's been around for a long time, but just recently a new device came out, which it's about the size of maybe a cell phone, maybe half a cell phone, and there's a lid to it. When you take it off, there's these two silver bulbs that you're going to wet with a special oil that they send you, and you turn it on the device and it produces electricity, and you hold it on the side of your neck underneath your ear, and you run this mild electric current right through that spot, and it's having a modifying intervention on your vagus nerve. And your vagus nerve it comes out of your brain and down the back of your head and out through these portals in the back of your skull and down into your neck, your stomach, and it innervates your alimentary canal and lots of other things. And it can be in a state of calm, or it can be in a state of stress. And this device held onto your neck is designed to keep you in the state of calm. And those, and all the way to very elaborate and expensive neurobiofeedback devices, new magnetic treatment devices to help with stress and trauma that are very, very effective. Very few people know about them. Very few doctors know about these devices. Um, you, you could talk to 100 doctors and only one may have even heard of the inner balance device, which has been around for many years. And doctors know that stress kills, but what they have to deal with it are benzodiazepines that will be taken by mouth that will calm you down.
Yeah,
Pills.
that's not good.
Yeah. And the people, they just simply call them nerve pills, right? But they're actually benzodiazepines. And so, um, and they don't work anywhere near as well as something like the inner balance device. So this stress management and attunement of your vagus nerve is a huge part of immortality. Because we've always said you can take the best nutrition in the world, and you can have great circulation, etc. But if you're under stress, you're probably still going to be sick. And we know from studies that your telomeres will shorten faster when you're under stress, and you'll have more inflammation when you're under stress. So on our website, Phoenix people can go there and they can look at the section of our website. It's called podcasts and blogs. And you can go to a section called self-care. And in the self-care area, you'll see a picture of a woman who has her hands folded in prayer. And the name of the technique is called the Ultimate Mind Calming Exercise. And this is an exercise that's very easily learned. Maybe 5 or 10 minutes, you can learn to do it. And when you practice it, you can go into a complete state of no mind, where your brain will stop thinking altogether.
I know a few people that are
This
always
can
in
be a
that
good
state.
thing. You know, I was wondering if you were going to say something like that because I had the same thing on my mind.
Sad
But
but
then I
true.
went into a state of no mind, and I just couldn't get the words out. Also in that area, there's a whole section called the emotional freedom technique. And there's an introductory video that talks about what it is, where it came. Then there's one about the basics of how to do it. And then there's individual ones where there's specific techniques that this is also called tapping. We have one that's tapping for weight loss. We have another one that's called tapping for stress. And the last one is tapping for the immune system, which works both to boost your immune system and to calm the system if you have an autoimmune disease. And those 5 videos are there in the technique. You can also, in the search, at the top of each of the pages on our website, there's a search icon. It's a little circle with a line coming out of it. And you can go right there and type in the word Havening, Havening. I'm doing it right now. And there's a number of videos there about havening. The one you would want to watch first is called What is Havening? The Power of Touch. And that's about a half an hour long. It's a description, again, of what it is, where it came from, how Dr. Rudin discovered it, and how to do it. I demonstrate how to actually do it, and so that you can do it. And then later, Phoenix, we interviewed a woman for our podcast. Her name's Hillary Russo. We interviewed her for 2 hours, and we broke up the videos on the website into 2 parts. And so if people want to learn more about that technique, which is really powerful, really great for helping people with trauma, whether it's PTSD or otherwise. And Hillary is a really, really wonderful human that is very sensitive and helpful. She's also a person with a master's degree in holistic nutrition. And we talked to her about that. And we talked to her, Phoenix, about what it was like when she met Dr. Rudin. And when she met him at the first conference she went to, she had never done havening before. She didn't know much about it. And she had an experience where she was asked to come up on stage in front of a bunch of different people. This was at an international Congress on havening being held in Ireland. And she told us the story of what it was like to sit there with Dr. Rudin, who performed this havening technique on her for the first time, and the profound shift it made in her relationship with her father. And it's a very moving story, and something that people can listen to and learn more about havening, right there on the site. The other thing people can type in that search bar is what's called nonviolent communication, and this is a very, very great technique for reducing stress, because it helps with all of your relationships. And many times relationships are the biggest issue that people have that causes them stress. And we've talked about this before, Phoenix, where we know that that the biggest stress quite often comes from your neighbors. And especially people move into a neighborhood, they buy a great new house. Turns out they're constantly arguing with their neighbors over the trash can, who cut down what tree, all kinds of things. Your dog is barking. And that type of stress is a special kind of stress which really makes people sick. And a lot of people move to a different neighborhood because of neighbors that they can't get along with. And this technique of nonviolent communication can help with that tremendously. And so some of the other things, Phoenix, that really are important new discoveries in this march towards immortality. Different types of therapies. For example, I am going to be taking somebody for treatments, a series of 9 treatments, to a eye doctor's center nearby us that just received a brand new red light therapy device. And this is a device that sits on a table. The patient who has vision issues will look into this visor, and on the other side of the table, the doctor is able to look at your eye and aim a pulse of light at this spot in your eye and push a button, and it will give a pulse of a very specific wavelength of red light. And this is the first time that such a restorative treatment has been discovered that can help people that have dry macular degeneration, which is an eye disease that progresses until people can not function anymore. They can no longer drive. They can't see their way around to, go from one building to another. They can barely see. And now, because of this company, Theraluma, that did the research, they figured out that what was thought to be dead cells, and this is really important in regard to regeneration. So it used to be people thought that when they looked at a person's eye through a special scope that has dry macular degeneration, that some of the cells had died. And that's why you've lost your central vision. You could see peripherally, but what's right in front of you, you couldn't see. It turns out that those cells didn't actually die, but the lights went out. And so they couldn't see the cells. They looked dead. But it turns out the mitochondria have stopped functioning. And the mitochondria produce electricity, which powers the whole rest of the cell. And they found out that you can put this pulse of light and it will hit that mitochondria, the surface of it. The mitochondria is in the shape of a ball or a long tube in some cases, and it has a membrane around the outside that has photoreceptors on it. And when that pulse of light hits that photoreceptor, it turns the mitochondria back on. And when the mitochondria turns back on, the whole cell turns back on. And so now for the first time, they discovered, boy, these cells aren't really dead. Let's turn them back on and let's help the person get their eyesight back. Right? And the treatment has been available for about 2 months. It was just invented. And the first person I know is going to be getting their first 9 treatments over the course of the next 3 weeks. And I'm going to be taking them there and meeting each time with the doctors that are administering the treatment, talking with them about it. We just talked to Dr. Philip Ames today. And it's a very, very promising, very revolutionary new restorative treatment that is starting to Star Trek, sci-fi stuff. And so I'll be able to update people on that as time goes by.
Very cool.
And yeah, the other thing that we already have seen is the use of pulsed electromagnetic fields. And whenever you're looking at doing research in regard to aging, you have to consider the whole environment that a person is living in. We're living on a planet that has a force of gravity, which is why we need muscle. Okay, if you start losing muscle, gravity begins to literally pull you towards death. You can no longer resist gravity when you're so weak, and that's why somebody can't get up off the couch. Their muscles are not strong enough to hold them up against the force of gravity. So we live on a planet with gravity. We live on a planet that's bathed in light from the sun and from the core of the earth. And we live in an environment with an atmosphere. Sometimes it's very beneficial and contributory, and sometimes it's poisonous. And so looking at immortality, we can't just look and say, okay, where's the magic pill? We have to know that our environment's very toxic. The air's toxic, the water's toxic, the food is toxic, and that we have photons coming from the sun. So we want to take advantage of that, but in a very specific way. So it's regenerative and not caustic, right? And then the same thing with the pulses coming off the core of the earth. We know there's two particular pulses that penetrate your body when they leave the core of the earth. They break through the surface, and human beings absorb those pulses, and it helps to circulate our blood. And so we know now that there's a technology. I've had one of these for 5 years, and it's a mat that's about 6 feet long and 3 feet wide, and there's wires going through it, and it plugs into a power supply, and it's mimicking those pulses coming from the core of the earth and helping to keep our circulation strong. Because circulation diminishes as we age dramatically, to the point where as we get to be about 60 years old, we've lost 30% of our circulatory capability. And that's a huge part of staying alive, is to be able to circulate oxygen, which you can only live without for about 5 minutes, and to circulate all the nutrients that your body needs, including the nutrients that we talked about earlier that help to make sure that your telomeres don't shorten, right? And so circulation has huge implications across every aspect of your physiology. And we now have the capability to maintain our level of circulation all throughout our life. You could live to be 200 or 300 years old, and with the help of these circulation mats, your circulation will not diminish, and you won't get problems that people get who have poor circulation. I see a lot of people who end up with nerve damage in their peripheral nerves, their hands and their feet and their legs. Their legs begin to swell, and they'll get sores on their feet, maybe have to have an amputation. These are all issues related to circulation, because the nerves that are alongside the blood vessels that go to your feet have to have a supply of oxygen and a supply of nutrients so that they can fire. And when those nerves fire, they help with the circulation of the blood, right? And if the nerves start to get damaged, they can't help with circulation. And so the circulation gets even worse. And many people that have had to have their feet, toes, or legs amputated got caught in this catch-22 that can be resolved in many cases with a circulation mat and the proper nutrition and antioxidants that will help you to supply oxygen and nutrients to those nerve cells all throughout your body. And imagine, as people age, the problems they have with memory and concentration, and even leading to Alzheimer's disease. There are many environmental factors that affect people's circulation, and other aspects related to toxicity that will lead people to die at a younger age than they otherwise would. And so people want to know about red light therapy. People want to know about pulsed electromagnetic field therapies. You can call to our office, and we have people on the staff that are experts in these fields, including Anne, who has written books about these topics. And so keep those things in mind as it relates to the Age of Immortality. Other aspects as well. Phoenix, paying attention to our microbiome, a big one that we've talked about before, and paying attention to your digestion and your absorption And of course, earlier we talked about your genetic expression, paying attention to toxicity. One of the reasons we give people our gladiator barley is it helps get rid of almost all the toxins in their body and gives you a fresh start. When people are born, they have over 200 environmental toxins in their bloodstream. And by the time you get to be 50 years old, it's over 400. But
Mm,
now with the technology we have, you can get a fresh start. You can detox that stuff out of your body, and you'll actually, at an advanced age, have less toxicity in your body than you had on the day you were born.
amazing.
And yeah, this is a big advantage. It's an environmental issue, and the age of immortality has to account for every one of these things. Um, there's not a magic pill that can do everything, detoxify you, reduce your inflammation, et cetera, et cetera. But if you have a combination of a few different things, you can do it. And at our company, we have most of all of those things. And if not, we have a phone number you can call or a website you can go to get additional things. For example, the product that cleanses out the plaque out of your arteries. You also have significant toxicity that people get in their lungs, causes all kinds of health issues, including early death. And there's another invention. A different scientist invented these drops that you can take that will totally cleanse out your lungs. And more than half the people that use this product, whatever the lung problem was that they had, goes away because it was being precipitated by everything that the people.
What's that product called, Bob? The lung product.
So that is called lung clear.
Okay.
Lung clear. If people want to know about it, it would be best to call us because it works so well that a number of companies have made knockoffs of it. And when you think you're buying lung clear, they very cleverly have disguised their websites and they're selling you something else that they're calling lung clear. And so we have the phone number for the lung clear company. I don't have it here with me. That product is at my house, but we'd be happy to provide that phone number for anybody that wants it. And the
Excellent.
same to go with the Natafina. We can help with that as well.
Very good. Yeah, we're rolling up on the
Yes.
end of the hour here.
Yep.
I tell you what, it's an interesting thing. The other day, we saw some world leaders together. We saw Xi Jinping of China, Vladimir Putin of Russia, and a few other leaders. They were over in China commemorating the end of World War II from China's perspective and standpoint. And anyway, they were having conversations as they're walking, and they were actually talking about longevity and this very topic and commenting to each other that people are living longer and with the technologies that they're working on. And they're seeing that maybe they'll get together again, when they're 150 or 160 years old and do this again. And they were laughing and joking about it, but they were very serious. They were talking about how, now people 70, 75, 80 years old are no longer, sick and dying. And about this new field, and actually had a brief conversation in the open about that very topic.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of research in Russia that goes on in the world of restorative medicine. Um, very valuable research they have. They're using cold fusion to create new compounds that didn't exist before, that couldn't be created without a lot of heat, that would burn the fused product and render it useless. But there's a couple of places, scientists in Russia, and there's a scientist here in Florida too that's also figured out how to vacuum electrons off of an atom or a molecule and able to fuse materials together with cold fusion that has not been done before. And some of those things they're producing, Phoenix, are for health and wellness. And
Amazing.
I worked together with them here in Florida uh, to begin to help to create a product that would help to restore severed spinal cords.
Mm.
And he's pretty sure he knows how to do it.
Wow, it'd be
And
amazing. He could restore people that are paraplegic. That's amazing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, and it goes on and on, right? But then you also have to think about what's it going to do to the society. First off, the individual person. I mean, I've talked to people before about this, and they're like, "You're crazy, man. Who would want to live to be 100 years old?" They're like, "I'm 65 and I'm done, man. There's so much stress in this world, this life. I don't want to stay around, right?" Well, that's the first thing that people have to decide. They have to decide, do they actually want to be stronger, healthier? Do they want to live longer? And they have to be able to imagine what it would be like. And you know, I uh, I can see why some people would be concerned. We're we're kind of brainwashed by subconsciously by the society that we're going to live to be around 100 years old, and people are like, okay, so here it is, and I'm going to heaven when I'm 100, and it'll be a big relief. I'll see this tunnel of light, and everything is going to be great, and I'll be able to see my mom again. And I don't want to live past 100. Right? I'm ready to go to heaven. Right? And so that's going to be a big thing, because if there's immortality, uh, and people are going to have to make choices. Do they want to partake in it, like I'm doing, or do they not want to partake in using products that'll restore your muscle, stop your inflammation, right? Improve your circulation. All those things, people are going to have to choose whether they want it or not. And a lot of it will relate to your purpose of life on Earth. What are you doing here? What are your goals and dreams? What do you want to do to improve your community, help your church, build a new addition? You know, all these types of things related to purpose and whether or not someone would even want to participate. And then what's it going to be like? What are family reunions going to be like? Right? You'll have to rent out a football stadium for a family reunion in the year 2525 because you have a million relatives in your family. Right? Practical things like that, Phoenix.
Crazy. Well, you know what, Bob? We're at the bottom of the hour here, and it's been a very vast topic, a lot of things to consider. The social aspects of that, the spiritual aspects of that. Yeah, that's a whole other program. The psychology and sociology behind those aspects, which will have to be addressed. Interesting, brave new world indeed. You know
Yeah,
what?
absolutely.
As we are closing this out, how about some couple things. Again, contact info and final thoughts on this topic and words of wisdom to close us out, Bob.
Sure. So yeah, to contact us, give us a call. Well, Monday to Friday, Eastern Time, 9 to 5, 800-861-4609. Staff and me can talk to you about all these different aspects, whether it's stress management or our nutrition products. Go to patriotintelreport.com, click on the lady in the blue light and on the top left of the site, and that'll bring you right over to our site. If you ever want to come and visit, call ahead. It's not a storefront, but we do have a nice conference room with our own entrance to the building. And we're at 5401 Central Avenue in St. Petersburg, Florida. And I would just say, Phoenix, that this topic of immortality is right upon us. Even the most conservative scientists that they interview about this that are working in the field, the most conservative ones say within 10 years we'll have immortality, right? And a lot of the top ones are saying 2 or 3 years, maybe 5 at the most. Okay. I would contend that they're wrong. I would contend that we actually already have it. That if you were to combine everything we have in the world today to keep us healthy and young, and you were able to do all those things, I think we actually already have the capability for people to totally stop aging. And you can prove it with many different biomarkers, blood tests, et cetera, et cetera.
Amazing. Well, Bob, I want to thank you very much for this. Everyone, the contact info, be sure and give Bob a call or click on patriotIntelReport.com. Click on the lady in the blue lighting storm, like Bob was saying, to get you to their site. Fascinating topic, Bob. Very interesting. And how long? How long will people live? How long can they live now and in the future? Very fascinating. Anyway, Bob, I really appreciate it. I want to thank you for this. I know our listeners do too. I really appreciate the time and effort and the knowledge that you bring to us every report that we do.
Phoenix, it was my pleasure. I'll look forward to another time.
Very good. So that's it, everyone. The health report right here on Midnight Overwatch. Continuing series with Bob Gilpatrick. Sure, join us in a couple weeks here. We'll be doing the same on a different topic as we expand upon all the amazing things that are happening in the world today, health related. Because remember, if you don't have your health, nothing else matters, and that's a fact. Again, Bob, thank you very much. We're going to roll out of here. And everyone, until the next time we are together, be healthy, be strong, and remember, like I said, without your health, you have nothing. And until the next one, God bless. Phoenix and Bob out.